Hello, everybody. I'm CJ Miller. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana. Across the Red River is beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. In this bowl, I have an equal measure garlic powder, uh, uh, cayenne pepper, uh, curry seasoning blend, black pepper. I have those four things in equal measure, and in half, I have 1/2 measure of monosodium glutamate, 1/2 measure of a little ingredient that I don't talk that much about. Sometimes I'll refer to it as my secret twist, and it is ground sassafras. The ground sassafras comes in a blend that is primarily, it's got a caking agent and primarily, the ground sassafras. And it's a blend called gumbo filet. It's what a lot of people put in their gumbo blends in the absence of okra. Something else you can use in the absence of any of this, you could use bay leaf. That'll give it a little bit of something. And you also can use fennel. I've got fennel seed, so you can use fennel seed also. But ultimately, you want to stick with either using okra for that twang, which I don't particularly care for as much as the ground sassafras, the gumbo filet powder. Okay. And I'm heating the oven 350. It's come up to temperature, so I'm going to take some pre-breaded chicken wings and I'm going to lay them out on this cookie sheet and then sprinkle the seasoning this rub would be great for anything. It's going to be a sprinkle, but you can use it for pretty much anything. If you want to, if you're not diabetic, you want to add a little bit of just to give a good balance. You add a little bit of granulated sugar. And that can give a balance to that. But I like to reduce sugars wherever I can. Plus, I'm using a pre-breaded blend that I got from Foodway. Just chicken parts that have been pre-breaded and ready to go for about 10 minutes in an oven. So there's no, they probably threw a splash of sugar in their ingredient. I'm going to read it real quick. Hang on. No. I didn't see anything. Okay, so flour. I didn't see anything that would indicate a sugar. I'm actually surprised for that, but not really, because this Foodway store, it's spices. There's where it is, where it says spices, and it doesn't tell you what it is. That's where they sneak in what they consider incidental amounts of sugar, just for balancing out some of the heat. But I knew it was there. I would put a little sprinkle of a sugar if I were not diabetic. So I'm not going to worry about it. You wouldn't be able to taste it and think, sweet. You wouldn't know that if you were eating these as they are. And the reason why I'm adding mine is just that my rub that I've created is to add more heat. It's basically got the same stuff, garlic powder, onion powder, and everything, but it's very mild, almost to the point of not being able to taste it. And I like to be able to really kind of feel some heat on my palate. I don't want to eat it so much, and it's like the only thing I can taste is red pepper, like a hot pepper. That's not what I'm going for, but I do want to increase the flavor just a little bit. And that's why I put that dry rub together. Okay, so you can see here where I put a lot of, get a light from the range top here, a lot of butter on here. Now this sheet pan is Gotham steel, and I use it for a lot of savory baking. Savory simply means the absence of sweet. It's anything that's like delicious and wonderful, but not sweet like a dessert. That's what savory means. If you hear someone, I savored that pineapple upside down cake with a cherry and apricot glaze, whatever, run with it. But in cooking, in cuisine, uh, that would be kind of improper. You know, you want to feel that your mouth waters at the thought of your food, and it not have to be a dessert. The absence of sweet doesn't mean sour. It doesn't mean bitter. It doesn't mean, it can mean any of those things. What it means is the absence of sweet. Primarily when it comes to cooking, glazes, and everything like that. So you have your sweet type of cooking, your sweet baking, and then you have your savory. And then there's the, you know, so particularly when it comes to desserts, you can do like your desserts or your sweet baking, sweet rolls, that type of stuff. Those are your sweets. But there is this unique thing where what happens with a lot of food is sometimes to balance and just to keep the appetite of your consumer, you keep their palate whetted, then you'll put like just a touch, just a sprinkle or two, a little glaze of some things that will awaken their appetite, that will ping the senses. The the human mind, the brain, the endocrine system, the brain that goes on, it's programmed naturally to come alive for things that it finds pleasurable. And sweet is one of those. It lets us know, hey, we're getting a natural sweetness, something that's a natural food and everything that's not a toxic or a poison. Sometimes, if you ever see a child and give them their first piece of chocolate, maybe their first piece of chocolate cake on their birthday. We did that for my nieces and nephews, their first cake. You let them have their first piece of candy and you see it come over them. Oh, wow, this is the meaning of life. That look, that's really good. You know, that kind of, just that thing that comes in their eyes and their face and everything. That is a part of the natural human reaction, and it's very rare that it's not there. And then you have children that don't like to eat a lot of leafy greens natively. They don't really care for it and everything. Anything that feels barky, vegetational, liver. Don't want to eat liver because of the bitterness of liver. I still don't like it. And because the flavor of bitterness is one that the brain associates with toxic consumption, foods and everything like that, you know. So, those are natural responses that your child gives you when they don't want to eat their vegetables or their greens or something like that. If it's not overly sweet, and especially if it leans towards a bitterness, the palate needs to mature and get trained in those things. You can't just sit down a child and say, eat some, especially if you're going to do that. That's why a lot of people will put, like with the carrot, they'll make a sweet carrot or something like that. Put like a little sweet glaze and butter over it or something like that, and then that gets the child more in tune to eating their vegetables. But that's if you've ever wondered, if you never knew, things that are overly sour, the human taste bud, they want to repel from it. And then when you get older, you get like a twisted, wicked sense of humor, and you're like, hey, watch me down this whole thing of hot peppers, And it's because, we get, our personality develops and steps in and takes over, and we start to answer back to our natural instincts. Yes, I know this is bitter, but I like it, and it's I've used the bitter on a plate to balance. I will now eat a spinach, which is not overly bitter, but it's I don't know, it's not particularly delicious, but I will have it as part of a salad, say like a chicken salad on spinach. I worked at a restaurant that called that a Popeye salad. that kind of thing. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to take as many of these chicken portions as I can, the wing portions, and lay them out. And then I'm going to bake them for about 10 minutes at 350. That's what the instructions say. But before that, I'm going to sprinkle with my blend that I've already described, equal parts black pepper, red pepper, garlic, and in this case, it is a curry seasoning, but the curry is a blend of turmeric primarily, and let me see what else is in there. I think it's turmeric primarily, and a little bit of anti-caking, and there's probably a little bit of this and that in there. Let's look at it just so you can know. So, ingredients, spices, just generic spices. That's where they slip in a little of the, they slip in a little bit of sweet here, a little bit of whatever. And it's so they use so little of each of these individual spices that, and then they add to it turmeric for color, but there's a flavor to it also. It gives a bitterness of its own, and then dried cayenne pepper for the heat. So turmeric, they say, is for color, and dried cayenne pepper, but primarily just spices, just random spices. They're not telling us what's in their thing. I will tell you. I will tell you what's in curry powder. It's a good, oh my God, hang on one second. Let me think. Yes, ground cumin. Ground cumin is a big part of what's in here. Okay, so anyway, never mind me trying to second guess everything. I'm going to go ahead and get this in the oven. And I'm going to interject myself and just say that the reason why I'm doing my own rub here is I want to create something that's close to those blazing hot wings that I miss so much. That's been kind of my holy grail of chicken wing for since the moment I first experienced them. And they don't make them anymore. And then I thought I found a somewhat of a suitable substitute if, I kind of tweaked it up with add my own blend of heat, mostly crystal hot sauce or something, and then bake after. It's better to put to toss the pecan flavored encrusted wings that we liked. It's better to take those, toss them in the hot sauce, and then bake them. But you could do it the other way. You could toss them in the crystal hot sauce after you bake them too, or something like that. Or you could use a dry rub, like I'm doing here. And then they've discontinued those wings. Great. So it's like the pecan flavored encrusted wings. They're not making those anymore. That's okay. There are chicken wings out there. I will find some. I found some from Foodway, and they actually were spicy. I did a video. I compared. I'm like, but though they were spicy, they weren't the most. They weren't flavored in the way that I would prefer them to be flavored. So I went with the wing that is, in spite of everything that I just read in those ingredients, this is a pretty bland wing. It's not overly seasoned or spiced or anything like that. So I'm going to increase that in the way in flavors that I find work and balance. And then I'm going to let you know when I'm done with this if I have managed to achieve it. I'm going to put a few more wings on this though. And I do have some more bakeware. I ordered, let me tell you, this is so funny. New Year's Day or something like that, I ordered a new set of Gotham Steel cookware. I love Gotham Steel. I like working with it. What I have, I'm still going to be using, but I saw that I needed more because I like to do a lot of cooking for people, and I intend to do a lot more of that in the year to come. I want to have more. I kind of slacked off on that, and I want to get back into that perhaps after I come back from my vacation. And so what I'm going to do is bring back game nights and stuff like that. And so I'm going to have these dishes, But I always run out of, I want to do, when I have uh, maybe 10 to 12 people over, different people like different things. I like to make different things. You know, not everybody has to have the fish. You know, not everybody has to have the pork sausage or something like that. There's enough that I'll make it and everything like that. But the whole idea is I like to serve a group like that. I like to serve in courses, and I like to take the courses and charcuterie and stuff, and I like to set it out, and then I like to bring things out of the kitchen as they get ready, leaving what is possible to leave of the previous courses out on the table to enhance the courses as it comes. Kind of like how I work 12 steps. Aha! I'll work a step one, and then that step one will incorporate into my step two, will incorporate into my step three. I don't just work a step one and then, okay, I'm done with that step, I'll move to step two. You know, you're not done with the previous step. You bring that into your new step. That's for the 12-step people. You'll know what I'm talking about. But anyway, yeah, I like to serve my dinner courses like that. I like charcuterie and cheeses and everything like that when people come in, and little cordials to pick up and bite. And then I like to leave those out as I'm bringing new things in from the kitchen. I actually set a good table and serve a good meal with somewhat of an artistry when I really get going, and I'm good at it, and I know that I am. You know, it's just that even with, I had this set of Rachel Ray cookware that I got as housewarming, and then I bought the Gotham steel because I wanted more pans, and then I also, you know, I got the cookware and the panware, and that was about 4 years ago. And so it's like, even then, it's like, okay, I want to be able to do more, you know, and then I want to be able to keep some as I want to be able to take some that I use for savory baking, and then I want to keep some separate for sweet baking, which I don't do a lot of sweets and stuff like that. But I had people come over. I'll make some desserts for them. I won't really eat that much in the dessert department because of my, you know, diabetes, and I don't want it to go. I don't want to become insulin dependent. I'm asymptomatic, and if I maintain my diet, I can stay that way. So I want to cut back on that, you know, and really, really work my way back into more savory. And if there is some breading like this, let it be not overly done. But I want to get, you know, I want to get back into the area that makes me. I have about a month and a half before I go on vacation, basically, and I want to slender up for that. So that I'm trying to work my way back into a primarily protein-based diet, meat-based diet. Carbs, we say nutritionally, we talk about carbs, and then we talk about proteins, right? And then we talk about fats and everything. The truth is, carbs are protein, meats are protein. You're declaring what type of protein, you know, and a starchy protein from grains and everything like that. It's better to have. It's better to eat grain rice or something like that, or canola. I didn't say that right. Quinola or something, whatever. It's better to eat oats and grains and things like that are less processed than say flours and pastas and stuff like that. Even flour on here, it would be better if I reduced. These are not overly breaded though. That's why I don't mind this. A lot of the breading comes off or whatever. So that's my excuse. But I do want to get more keto. My oven ought to be really good and hot now. Let me finish putting these on the pan. Okay, so I got this well stirred, well blended, whatever, with clean hands and fingers, and I want to take it a pinch, and I want to taste it. Tasting the raw herb is not really going to do much just right now. Not gonna. I wouldn't recommend eating three or four raw powders or anything like that. But you want to taste it. Yeah, that is a really good blend. That is a really good blend. I'm gonna sprinkle this on the chicken. I'm just gonna grab it hanging up here and sprinkle it. Um, I could take all these and roll these around in the powder, but if I do that, what's going to happen, because the chicken parts are frozen, is that the powder, the rub, is just going to fall into the bottom of the bowl that I would roll this around in. So I'm just actually going to sprinkle it one side. If I felt like flipping it and everything, I could do that. But really, I could season this well. Each one of these on one side. My flavor palette is going to pick up those flavors after I've had one or two wings. Then it's going to be keen on these flavors, and it's going to be as if I had breaded every one of these and seasoned every one of these with the same um, consistency on both sides. It really wouldn't matter. It's kind of like hamburgers. You can get away with a hamburger patty when you're grilling it. You can get away with taking your grill seasonings for your grilled meats, like a hamburger patty or something, and seasoning just the top side of your hamburger. Uh, your That's a good way that you don't overly season your food by just seasoning the one side, and your palate is going to be trained quite keen with it after one or two bites. I know, sounds blasphemous. Don't hate on me. These are quite well seasoned, and remember the flavor of the unsalted butter. There's a lot of it on the bottom of this pan to help keep it from sticking, but also it's going to help flavor the chicken portions as well. Not to mention the flavor that's already in. It's very mild. I've had these before. This particular blend from the Foodway product, and Foodway is the distributor. They to hospitals, schools, that type. They do a lot of that, and to some restaurants and things like that or whatever. Foodway, and our local distributor is called the Louisiana Food Market or Louisiana Meat Market or something like that. But yeah. Um, so if you're local, it's over on Texas Avenue in Shreveport, and check them out. You're gonna be able to find some things that are pretty consistent there. Uh, you know, like I didn't buy any this time because I really, want to cut back on that type of stuff. Last time I bought Crispitos. Those are those big, huge, giant, crispy wraps that you find in gas stations. Uh, where are they? I even still have some of the wrappers. Hang on. For the tornadoes that I bought also, and I thought that I was going to enjoy them, but there's corn in the chicken tornadoes, so I ended up giving those away to somebody because I don't like kernel corn, like corn on the cob. I don't like corn in that way. It has to be ground up for a breading, or it has to be popped. The only two ways that I want to eat corn, with the exception of grits, like a white hominy grits or something like that, which is a type of corn. Then I would eat that. But there's even a yellow grit type of grits that are yellow. I prefer the hominy grits. The Italian people have grits. They're served at dinner and suppers, and they're called polenta. You know, in the oven for 10 minutes, and you may notice I have it crisscross sitting on top of another cooking sheet, and that is so I can reach in and grab it when it's time to take it out without having to wrestle with that rack. Well, and when I talk about brands of foods that I enjoy, distributors, brands, anything like that, that's not an endorsement. I don't receive paid endorsements. I'm not saying that I wouldn't. Uh, I'm just saying that I don't. And of course, if they did pay me, anyone ever paid me, I wouldn't compromise. I wouldn't endorse a product that I don't believe in. I used to sell Mary Kay cosmetics. I believed in it, loved it, sold the hell out of it until I got bored with it. And when I was a cosmetician, I was the best salesperson uh, uh, where I trained and then where I worked with the products, because I made it a point to get to know my products. I had to really know and enjoy uh, what I sell and bringing it to people. But I'm retired now, so whatever. Okay, I'm gonna pause this. I'm gonna do some chores while I wait on those wings, and then we'll do a tasting. I tell you though, that blend, I'm pretty damn psyched about it. I think adding a little bit of the MSG, not too much, reduced the saltiness, but kind of ties everything together. You see where I had this seat cushion I brought out here and I put in the rocking chair because one of the brackets right there broke. And so I'm going to use this. And actually, one of these days I'll probably replace this chair and I will know to keep that cushion and keep it in the chair to prevent it from breaking in the future. Every oven's a little bit different. The oven that I have cooks very well, but the chicken, some of the pieces were big and still needed to go a little bit more. Let's look at this. Oh my God. That is a nice cloud kind of wrapping around this moon that was a super wolf moon in full, and now it's waning, but it's still huge. It's still lower in the and as it gets smaller, as it gets up in the sky and kind of moves over, it gets smaller. But oh my God, if you see a super moon, and anytime you see a super moon and it's low in the atmosphere, it looks huge. Okay, and so people were talking about. I went out to a meeting and I overheard people talking, and they were about living in. Talking about living in Canada. Speaking of Cajuns, you know, that we used to be our French ancestry. Some of us came from France to Louisiana. The Louisiana Purchase, and after Louisiana was a state and everything like that in the mid 1900s or something like that, or you know, whatever, whenever, you know, whatever. I know that that my family name is Lafitte, and they are traced back to Jean Lafitte, the pirate that was recruited to aid in you know, the Battle of New Orleans and the War of 1812, or the French and Indian War, whatever it is. I don't know, some of that stuff going on there. You know, but that guy, you know, he was a bad guy. His band of bad people, and then they made a deal. Hey, you've got the area, so you come in and we'll, you know, whatever. So So historically interesting. I'm not necessarily ooh, criminal, it's in our blood or whatever. I've got some family member. They're like, yeah, we're pirates. We'll forget, whatever. But you know, but we've also got some Cajun lineage that comes all the way, and I say Cajun French, from that can be traced back to uh, the settlers that traveled from Arcadiana in Canada and came down through the area known as the Louisiana Purchase once it was sold and everything like that. So when you see people on TV say Emeril Lagasse, I used to like he's doing a lot of Cajun cooking. He's not from Louisiana. Well, he is. He's from Missouri. St. Louis, Missouri is a big part of where he's from and a big part of his history. And all that used to be, that whole big section used to be Louisiana before that was broken up into different states. That whole territory was Louisiana. So it's like, yeah. So I had to rethink because every once in a while I would see a Louisiana hot sauce that's made someplace not in the state of Louisiana. I saw a Louisiana hot sauce made in a little town called Louisiana, Missouri. And I'm like, that's bullshit. That's good. But it's not. It really is a part of their history that they were once part of this Louisiana territory. So I had to rethink and educate myself on a little American history to understand that it's not a misappropriation of culture and they're not screwed. I'm like, it's the state of Louisiana. We're the only ones that should be able to use it. It should, it should help our economy or whatever, whatever. All the politics or whatever. Yeah, I grew up and I grew out of a lot of that, you know. Also, there was a lesson about appropriation that I picked up from, and I'm not even a super Christian or anything like that. But in the Bible stories that I was read, there was, where they came across, Jesus and the disciples, the apostles or whatever. They came across somebody who was talking and performing and doing some works in the name of Jesus. And I think it was either Peter or Matthew or something. One of them just kind of like raised up and said, no, you cannot do that. Only we can do this. We're the only ones. And then I think it was Jesus said, oh, no, if they're doing something in our name, they're working for us. They're not working against us. So there's that kind of lesson. So, as long as it's not hurting and as long as it's not misrepresenting, I've loosened up a lot on those types of things. It's not like I've, whatever. It's not like I've got like a financial stake in it or anything like that, How you guys doing? Did you guys have a good holiday? I'll tell you, I was nervous about this rent situation. Not the rent, but like this whole last month. Are they really going to go in? Are they going to try to evict people, this and that, and everything like that, and blah, blah, blah. And it's been going on for a couple of months, and I've felt some anxiety about it. And I really felt, oh my God, this is going to make me depressed. And then I felt that I was getting depressed, like a bipolar depression. And I talked about it shortly before Christmas, maybe about a week or so before Christmas. I was feeling kind of a malaise. For no particular reason. There was just things getting to me, and I just felt less excited and a little bit more depressed than normal. And I thought it was bipolar. But as it turned out, no, I ended up getting a cold. Then I just kind of like laid on the couch for about 2 or 3 days while I recuperated from this cold. It happened probably about in the middle of December, and so yeah, but I was fine by the time Christmas came around. I was fine, and then I've constantly had like a sniffles, but that's my allergy. I'm always like that during the winter time, just a but yeah. But let's say for a while there, I was like, oh my God, I feel like dying, and yeah. So I hope you guys had a good holiday season. I'm just really excited about everything because I have. Well, my sister's got a birthday coming up, and that's really fun. I love any kind of opportunity I have together with family for whatever reason. I don't know what it is that we're gonna do, but that's kind of cool. And you know, um, I love to celebrate life anytime I get a chance to do it. And let's see what else. Nothing immediately, but I'm gonna go check on the chicken. Hang on. Well, they aren't finished yet. I hope you don't mind me just looking out at this city while I talk. Um, one thing I want to talk about, when you're in your kitchen and you've got like your little kitchen towel, maybe you have it on your hip or you have it nearby you, and so that when you're working in the kitchen and when it's time, you go over and you wash your hands in between each major step for a point of decontamination, everything like that. Rinse your hands off. We'll give them a good wash or whatever, and then reach down and like grab your towel and dry your hands off. And the kitchen towel that you work with. Well, don't use that towel to reach into an oven. Don't fold it over and reach into an oven and use that. It's not even so much for the sanitation issues because you would have cleaned your hands before you dried your hands, so the towel would still be, okay. It's still fine for the most part. I mean, there's probably some micro uh, particles in the air that might flake on it or something like that if you're like rolling around or doing breading yourself. It depends upon it, but you probably could be okay in a sanitation area of using the towel. But should that towel be incidentally, just not even to your awareness, had picked up moisture from you drying off your hands and everything like that, then you fold it over. Well, what happens is that a towel that is slightly damp or moist, even if it's to the point that you don't realize it so much, but if that moisture's been pulled into the fiber, and also once you dampen a towel like that, a little kitchen towel, and it's slightly moist, then what happens? It will actually pull in more moisture from the air, and will get a little bit more moist than you think it is. Be aware not to reach into the oven with that folded towel and reach and grab a hot pan, because a damp cloth will conduct heat a lot more efficiently than, say, a dry towel. Get a dry, unused towel or oven mitt or something that's not moist or anything like that. That's completely dry, so that you won't I don't know, scorch your hand or something like that. It's an occupational hazard. You work into a kitchen and you're bustling around and everything like that. You're always grabbing a pan that's a little bit too hot to handle. Uh, probably ought to be as safe as you possibly can, especially in a professional kitchen. But you do get your hands do get toughened up to heat, but still, it's better to not push yourself and use a towel when taking hot things out of the oven for sure. Make it second nature, because if not, then one of these days you're going to be in a kitchen and you're going to be rushing around, and you will have that blank moment where you'll reach for a hot pan without an oven mitt or a dry kitchen towel or something like that, and you'll grab the handle and you'll end up burning and scorching yourself. So always, even if you think that it's something you can move out of the oven, maybe you turned off the heat and you let it rest in the oven to finish off. Doesn't matter. Always use a dry towel or dry oven mitt or something like that, because if it's a little wetter, a little bit more moist, it will conduct heat when you think it won't, and you don't want it to get too hot for your hand, and then you end up dropping it or something like that. So then it's like, wow, all this work just for nothing, or whatever. Been there, done that. Not tonight, thankfully, but I just wanted to mention that, because when I talk about cooking, I also want to talk about safety and sanitation and things like that. Also, those things are just as important as creating food that tastes delicious. for yourself or for guests or your family or whatever. So let's go check things out. I think we're about done. Hey, Ziggy. Pause. So I learned not to have music playing in the background when I'm making videos. The slightest bit of music might get my video banned, where you can't see it because of copyright infringement. But these are what these wings look like. Now, when you take a chicken wing or chicken part or anything like that, anything that's bone in, you're gonna get the juices, the blood that comes out, and it's gonna come to the surface, and it's gonna cook over, and people are like, "Oh my God, you get this weird black stuff." No, that's natural. That is why. Uh, aha. That's why some people prefer to fry the chicken, and that is why some people prefer to take the seasonings and put them in a sauce and roll them in the wing after, because it kind of like disguises. And it doesn't happen, but you'll see it on a couple of pieces. It's fine. Don't you see that? It's nothing. There's nothing gross in your chicken or anything like that. Your chicken's thoroughly done. It's basically these are the draw. If you were making this on the skillet, you would turn this into a gravy. That would be the meat droppings of your whatever. It would come to the skillet and everything like that. And you would just turn it into a sauce or something like that. So don't worry about it. That's actually there's actually a powerhouse of flavor in that little bit, by the way. Okay, these are smaller wings, by the way. So one thing about you know, when you get like a bag of wings, they're going to be varying sizes. You want to maybe try to put like smaller wings together and bigger wings together. I didn't pretty much worry about it, but if you're doing a bunch like these couple of big pieces here, took longer to cook than the smaller pieces, and I was waiting for these pieces. I could have taken them and put them into a smaller pan and finished them off, but yeah, whatever. Okay, so now it's time to plate some of these up and let's go taste them. Okay, so here we are, and yes, I'm barefoot, about to have my meal. Uh, Not to homage Barefoot Contessa. My mother loved her, Ina Gardner or whatever her name was. I don't know. I, you know what I remember mostly about my childhood though? We had a lot of PBS, and so we'd watch like the educational programs during the day, during the summer, and everything like that. And I loved that. 3-2-1 Contact was a science show, a little bit more elevated, a little bit more out of my scope. But I loved programs like The Electric Company that talked about reading. And of course, Sesame Street talked a lot about reading and math and everything, but also just socialization in general, a big part of that. Um, okay. Well, I have here plated up 6 wings. That's the way that a lot of people serve like a portion, 6